Thousands of years ago, Anatolia was a vast land where great empires had not yet emerged. Fertile plains, mountain, valleys, and early trade routes would soon turn this region into the cradle of powerful civilizations. Around 2000 BC, new groups began arriving in Anatolia. These Indo-European peoples would eventually become known as the Hittites and lay the foundation of a powerful civilization. Before the Hittites, Anatolia was home to peoples such as the Hattians, Hurrians, and Luwians. Interaction with these cultures created a unique and complex civilization. Over time, the Hittites established an important city in central Anatolia. This city would become Hattusa, the future capital of a powerful empire. In the 17th century BC, King Hattusa rose to power. His reign is often considered the true foundation of the Hittite state. During the reign of Hattusa, the Hittite army conquered many cities across Anatolia. These victories helped transform the Hittites into a regional power. Under King Mersili I, the Hittite army marched deep into Mesopotamia, launching one of the most surprising campaigns of the ancient world. In 1595 BC, the Hittites captured Babylon. This dramatic event changed the balance of power in Mesopotamia. After the Babylon campaign, the Hittite kingdom entered a period of instability, marked by palace intrigues and power struggles. By the 14th century BC, the Hittites regained strength and expanded across Anatolia and much of northern Syria. The Hittite capital Hattusa grew into a powerful city, surrounded by massive defensive walls. It became not only the capital, but also the political and military center of the empire. The Hittites expanded across much of Anatolia and northern Syria, becoming one of the dominant powers of the region. During the reign of Suppiluliuma I, the Hittite Empire reached a new height of power. He is considered one of the greatest rulers in Hittite history. Under the leadership of Suppiluliuma, the Hittite armies began advancing beyond Anatolia. Many cities in Syria came under Hittite control. These conquests turned the Hittite Empire into one of the most powerful states of the ancient Near East. One of Suppiluliuma's greatest achievements was defeating the kingdom of Mitanni. With this victory, the Hittites gained control over many important cities in Syria. The fall of Mitanni helped establish the Hittite Empire as one of the dominant powers of the ancient Near East. One of the greatest strengths of the Hittite army was the poor chariot. These vehicles, operated by a crew of 3, provided speed and maneuverability on the battlefield. With their chariots, the Hittites became one of the most formidable military powers of the ancient world. The Hittite Empire grew not only through military power, but also through trade networks. Trade routes connecting Anatolia, Mesopotamia, and Syria were under Hittite control. Through these routes, copper, silver, textiles, and valuable goods were transported, strengthening the empire's economy. The Hittites recorded state documents on clay tablets, using cuneiform writing. Thousands of these tablets have been discovered in the capital city of Hattusa. Thanks to these records, historians have learned a great deal about Hittite laws, treaties, and daily life. The Hittites practiced a polytheistic religion and were sometimes called the people of 1,000 gods. Gods from many different cultures became part of the Hittite belief system. The sanctuary of Yatzilakaya was one of the most important religious sites where these gods were carved into massive rock reliefs. However, the rise of the Hittite Empire made conflict inevitable. The cities of Syria held great strategic value for both the Hittites and Egypt. This rivalry would soon bring the two great empires face to face near the city of Kadesh. To the south, another great empire was rising, Egypt. Pharaoh Ramses II sought to expand his influence over Syria. For this reason, the powerful Egyptian army began marching toward the city of Kadesh. In 1274 BC, the Hittite and Egyptian armies met near the city of Kadesh. In the early moments of the battle, the Hittites launched a surprise attack. Their fast-moving chariots struck the Egyptian forces and created chaos across the battlefield. But the battle was not over. Pharaoh Ramses II rallied his forces and personally led the counterattack. The Egyptian army regrouped and managed to halt the Hittite advance. The battle raged for hours. Chariots, infantry, and archers fought fiercely across the desert battlefield. The Battle of Kadesh became one of the largest conflicts of the ancient world. By the end of the day, there was no clear winner. Both the Hittites and the Egyptians had suffered heavy losses. The Battle of Kadesh was remembered as a massive clash between two great empires. After the Battle of Kadesh, the two great empires chose diplomacy. The Hittites and Egyptians signed what is considered the first known written peace treaty in history. This agreement marked the beginning of a long period of peace between the two states. After the Treaty of Kadesh, a new era began between the Hittites and Egypt. Instead of war, the two great empires chose diplomacy and trade. Envoys were exchanged between the royal courts, strengthening relations between the two states. After the Treaty of Kadesh, the Hittite Empire remained powerful for some time. The capital city of Hattusa, with its massive walls, temples and royal palaces, stood as one of the greatest cities of Anatolia, but the fate of this powerful empire would soon begin to change. In 1200 BC, as catastrophes loomed, the great king made a difficult choice. At dawn, the last hope of the Hittites and their sacred relics were quietly carried out of Hattusa's gates. The capital was being abandoned to a deep silence. As the convoy abandoned the city, the empire's fate was already sealed. A mysterious enemy from the sea was setting coastal cities ablaze. This was the great invasion that would bring about the end of the Bronze Age. These invaders were not just looting, they were dismantling an entire civilization. The famed Hittite chariots and bronze weapons proved useless against these warriors of the Iron Age. The ports, the Hittites' gateways to the outside world, fell one by one. The sea peoples were not just taking land, they were severing the trade arteries of civilization. While the Hittite army fought deep in Anatolia, the coasts were left completely defenseless. Fire and smoke became the new fate of the once glorious Hittite cities. And so, a millennium-old titan fell. This great destruction, brought by the sea peoples, was the final nail in the coffin of the Hittite Empire. As the order of the known world crumbled, Anatolia was plunged into a deep, dark silence that would last. For centuries, the Hittites were gone, leaving behind only ashes scattered by the wind and secrets buried beneath the earth. The Hittites may have disappeared from history, but their legacy remains part of the story of human civilization, and we will continue exploring history in chronological order. Follow the channel so you don't miss the next great civilization.